just how much improving the life experience physically, mentally, and emotionally relative to enhancing the health and the health of your brain can influence our day-to-day lives. It's extraordinary. And the why and how all of it works is absolutely my favorite topic because of the quality of life upgrade that can come with it. So, as you may know, brain health is my jam. It was mapping out the course of healing my own brain with the amazing guidance of top doctors in the world of neurology, which is how I have gathered the information I'm sharing with you today. And it can be transformative for anyone, even if you feel you are already healthy. So it's not only changed me, it has changed thousands of clients. So in my previous brain health classes, you may know that I have shared the how-tos for diet and lifestyle that I have found to be of highest impact in terms of upgrading quality of life from 14 years of relentless trial and error for both myself and the people I've coached. So in these previous classes, I've covered extensively just how exactly the brain thrives on a healthy diet, the right kind of exercise, stress management, and good sleep, which we can implement relatively effectively and easily with the right tools that we have been covering. And so the topic today that I'm sharing with you is actually the favorite of mine. All the brain health topics I've been sharing over the past several classes, today is actually class number 5. We've had 4 classes, and the good news is you won't need to have seen the other previous videos. That it's going to thread together so that you're going to learn everything you need to just in this class. And we will refer back to some of these classes. Diet soda. Just kidding. Okay, so the purpose of today's class is to share with you the highest impact how-tos to regenerate full brain health, regeneration of new tissues from just the everyday wear and tear of life. Neurogenesis is the term, speeding the growth of new brain cells to then stimulate the neural-plasticity, which is a term we're going to define today, for improving memory, boosting alertness, strengthening mental and emotional health, believe it or not. And of course, this is all related to comprehensive full body health too. So naturally, the brain is the foundation of your body's unimaginably complex operating system that outmatches any computer. And to run well requires some real care. And the span of what's possible for the self-care with a healthy lifestyle relative to upgraded performance of the neurological system, which then in turn improves the performance of the body, is extraordinary. It's a symbiosis between brain and body that keeps going. So everything I've offered in these previous brain workshops is ultimately to get your physiological health optimized to support optimized brain health. It boils down to the fact that your brain largely determines the quality of your life. It's responsible for, like I said, that synergistic operating of all of your organs and functions in the body, and also just your mood and memory and thinking, problem solving, quality of thought. And that does reflect in communicating and relationships with others. So we're talking just the performance of everything in the brain: the hippocampus, amygdala, cerebral cortex, everything, cerebellum, thalamus, parietal lobe. So the goal here being to do what it takes for each of these parts of the brain to thrive with that superior diet, the right sleep, exercise, and other lifestyle factors we've talked about. So again, today is number 5. And the good news is you will still be able to understand. I'm just letting you guys know, still I see people coming on board the class here. And so you're going to see how all of this links together. And still, I do feel it's important if you can go back, check out the other class videos I've done about the different topics. They're all as important as this. And the good news is you can record them on the Infinity Greens website. So, like I've been emphasizing in my classes, brain health is of incomparable high priority and value. And for just a couple of reasons now, really more than ever. One of the things that we touched on was due to the recent decline, actually, in overall average brain health, especially here in the United States. And one of the examples we talked about includes the risk of Alzheimer's now more than doubling in just the last 10 years. Now, this is not to be fear driven, but it's a call to action since correlation is with several key factors of our health, and the world just isn't the information just isn't getting out fast enough to the world. So and it is helpful to look at such statistical facts because the human psyche, there's a loyalty to old belief systems that does not like to be challenged. The fact is, no one wants to think that they could have been doing things better, now needing to change the way they live their lives for self improvement. So, fortunately, statistical facts do just break such limitations. So, what we really covered, though, is the good news about how the health of your brain can be preserved and even improved at any stage of your life, making this information important for everybody. And so we really got into the how to's. So, one of the primary factors that we considered just relative to neurological health is circulation, that the brain is a vascular organ with 400 miles of blood vessels. So I've always emphasized that if there was ever a silver bullet to health, it would be nutrient and oxygen rich blood. That strong circulation is what preserves the health of everything in the body and is the primary ticket to an enduring neurological system. So, in my classes, we've covered how for brain health, inflammation is one of the bigger negatives. The inflammation we're talking about is different from the commonly thought of inflammation associated with leg aches and pains. The inflammation is an inflammation of tissues in the body on the microscopic level, the problem being it reduces blood flow. We talked about how this is largely determined by diet and lifestyle, and what you eat and do every day can make a world of difference with the blood flow in your brain as soon as tomorrow. So, we talked about how this intracellular inflammation affects the life cycles of the brain or your brain cells, since it is essentially limiting the delivery of vital oxygen and nutrients. That reduced blood flow, believe it or not, actually shrinks the brain, especially the hippocampus, the memory center, which is the factor of Alzheimer's more than doubling. So it's just the activity of neural pathways being reduced, and brain cells just have a shorter lifespan. So just even day to day, there's the follow-up sensations from an inflammatory diet that you had earlier of just being like a minor brain fog, being a little more forgetful, lack of motivation, and just feeling tired. So just again, this is even minutes after eating inflammatory foods. And again, the big good news is that your brain health can be improved just at any time. So the term is neurogenesis, the renewal of brain cells. This is the breakthrough discovery that was thought to be impossible until the year 2000. And now we know that actually the body can grow new brain cells at a rapid rate until the end of life. This is going to be something we're going to touch on today, both just how to optimize this extraordinary phenomenon, and also just then the mental emotional benefit that can come with it. So um, like we talked about, we focused on in one of the videos, we talked about the correlation with diet, the diet brain health mental health connection, that connecting these dots with just a little understanding of the science, it does offer offers some real motivation to eat healthier. And that the reality is some of the most consumed foods can cause more harm than good, and we certainly want diet to be part of the solution rather than the problem. So now I want to say it's likely that your diet is better than average since you're here today, which is a reflection that for you, it's already a priority. So that's really good. But there's always room for improvement, and improvement is going to be, just more than less processed sugar and more blueberries. As huge as that would be, of course, you just know that sugar, processed carbohydrates like flour, and the oils such as safflower, sunflower, canola, corn, palm, obviously hydrogenated vegetable oils, and then too much of the wrong animal proteins. That all those inflammatories are reducing the blood flow. Not so good. Now, I'm definitely not saying don't be the one person that doesn't eat birthday cake at your friend's party. You don't want to be the wet towel, and having processed sugar from time to time is definitely no big deal. Your body is incredibly resilient when these foods are just consumed time to time. So the idea, like we talked about, of course, is just replacing them with the elites. The foods that of course, are high in antioxidants and phytonutrients, chlorophyll, the detox foods like raw leafy greens, the right superfoods, just the inflammatory foods like turmeric and the essential fatty acids and some raw nuts and seeds and salmon, for example. As always, I highly encourage you to check out my recipes page that it's all about just using the most nutrient rich stuff and making it palatable and easy. And then I will say that there's an awesome cheat sheet in the back of my book, Infinity Health Manual, which foods are good. And that, by the way, that free downloadable link for the ebook was in your email when you signed up for this class. So you can click on that and download it for free. So, and we did talk about better hydration, that chronic dehydration is a common issue. Even just by a few percent makes a big deal. It just, nothing works as well. So I covered that quite a bit. So I also did a video dedicated exclusively to brain health and exercise. Just the nutshell version is that with diet, we're creating the nutrient-rich blood. And then think of it how with exercise, it's like pumping the handle, which circulates this nutrient-rich and oxygen-rich blood to organs in every part of the body, essentially making everything stronger and more resilient to aging, especially the brain. So we were talking exercises like just power walks, home exercise, online yoga, dance, routines that are just fit for the lifestyle that we've had to adapt to with the pandemic. So we talked about how exercise for the brain stimulates what's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. It's a growth hormone, also discovered in the early 2000s, that increases this process of neurogenesis and basically just the production of more neurons and better neural connections with this growth hormone. So it's a precursor for the neural-plasticity that we're going to jump into here shortly. So we did a class on sleep, just how statistically insomnia is a problem for nearly half of our population. And we're essentially a bit of a sleep deprived nation. We talked about some of the solutions to improve your sleep, and did talk very importantly relative to brain health. This was the big thing, is the glymphatic system, that during sleep is what gets the metabolic junk out. I've talked relentlessly about how it's getting the nutrient rich blood in, but then the other half is getting the metabolic junk out from just all of the cellular activity. So the glymphatic system in the brain is like a similar concept to the lymphatic system, but it's just exclusively in the brain. So that, again, is another thing related to inflammation. So the idea, what we talked about, is how this is related to getting that uninterrupted REM sleep. And we talked about some great how-tos for that. So we did a class dedicated to just stress and how stress can actually affect the physiology, the physical makeup of your brain. And we're talking just the day-to-day pressures of just paying bills, driving to and from work, just the constant stimulation from phones and computers and social media, and less than positive news, and just the continuous stream of decisions facing us from the moment we wake up. And so we covered just how, in response to this kind of ongoing subtle stress, the body produces cortisol, which is a natural stress hormone. And intermittently, that's okay, but it's just the chronic cortisol from the chronic stressors, which produces what's called it's an oxidative chemical stress, which is an inflammatory. So, and also, unfortunately, this production of cortisol is a lot of work for the body, which steals substrates that would otherwise be used for serotonin, melatonin for good sleep, and oxytocin, which are precursors for mood management. So, we talked about just the goal to cut back on some of these stressors to be replaced with things that bring us some joy, like hobbies and friendships, exercise. So, just to summarize that, to thread it together, we covered how diet and lifestyle, you're optimizing the health of your brain in terms of improved blood flow to the right areas, optimizing insulin uptake. We talked about optimizing serotonin production, upping the lymphatic system for that brain derived neurotrophic growth hormone. And so we're shifting to how this part of our health, all of this physiological biochemical activity, this hardware of our brain is becoming optimized to support the software, which is a healthy mind. So we're going to call it the software, the brain being the hardware, the mind being the software. So all that I've been saying, yes, is for the health of your brain, but the ultimate motive, or one of the big motives, is to enable you to thrive on all levels. Yes, physically, but mentally and emotionally too. I want to give you what it takes to propel you forward and just living a better quality of life in every way possible. So, um, like all that we've talked about, it's entirely possible to upgrade your diet and lifestyle, exercise to reverse the aging of your body and brain. And it's absolutely possible to be more vibrant physically than you were a few years ago. So I know I'm young, I'm 44, but I'm still confident that my healthiest days of my life are still many years ahead. The old adage that it's all downhill from here is old news, proven untrue. So I've seen this just extraordinary phenomenon at the ashram health retreat. Hi, Kat, if you're here, where I worked as a health coach. So people who were coming, a lot of these people already pretty healthy, and also some who weren't, who just after living this superior health routine for just a week would leave as different people. And these are people in their 60s and 70s too. So, and you can still improve your health, and even in your 80s and later, I believe it's entirely possible. Even though we didn't have people coming to the ashram just of those ages, just because physically it's so rigorous, but mentally and emotionally, you can improve at any point in your life just by creating more brain cells faster than they die, which that process is entirely possible until the very end. So, um, looking at what's possible with this correlated speed of brain cell production, coupled with positive thinking, and how that can literally, those two things, speeding your brain cell production with positive thought, and how that can literally restructure the physiology of your brain, building and optimizing new neural pathways. And just also just with your thought, you can direct blood flow and activity from certain regions in your brain to others. For example, you can draw blood flow from the amygdala, your stress center, to the hippocampus, your memory center, with deliberate thought. And I'm going to explain that in just a moment. And by doing that, you're building the new neural pathways with your positive thought, and you're actually able to remove neural pathways that carry information back and forth that are stress related, that are interfering just with your goals to be happier. So, pathways that transfer information that are just causing feelings of stress, sadness, worry. Literally ruts in your brain that we are going to be filling in via the process of neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. So, naturally, this is an understanding that's good to know because it helps to be a strong influence for the choices we make when well, we know just how to live in terms of the foods you eat and the day-to-day lifestyle. And it really does, just when you know just the how behind it, that it helps take this living a better way of life from a discipline more to a desire. You know, you just get it. You're like, okay, I can understand just what a difference this can make, and you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that if you've never dealt with any stress and you're totally and relentlessly happy and in peace all the time, then you're good to go. You don't need to listen to the rest of my class. Congratulations, or maybe you can teach my next one. But for everyone else, including myself, this is where the topic of neuroplasticity is huge. That we're actually going to deliberately change the growth of new brain cells and the building of new neural pathways. So again, this is the ability of the brain to undergo biological changes, wherein neurons and neural networks change their connections and behavior in response to new and repetitive thought. So a process that over time the brain becomes better able to do it. Also, it's like any physical exercise. So, and it's so brilliant that this process of intentional thought, neuroplasticity, can be used to write at will an improved mental concept about ourselves. Dr. Rick Hanson explains it just in a few simple words that the brain makes the mind. It's part of what makes the mind. And then the mind, your thought, makes the brain. It shifts it around, which then makes the mind. It's this ever ongoing cycle of improvement. And like I mentioned, this process stimulates the hippocampus, your memory center, which actually grows. It's improving your memory to then retain the positive material you're cycling through your thought. So again, the chain reaction then is there's less activity in the stress center, the amygdala, which this is good because then your body just naturally, due to this biological shift, is producing less cortisol, the stress hormone, which then equals the reduced inflammation due to less oxidation. Now, at less inflammation, as we know, then equals better circulation. Then everything in the body works better and lasts longer. Now, this is certainly putting new life into the adage of mind over matter. And the question is, how far can this go? We're going to call this self-directed neural plasticity, having a well-defined, intentional mental sequence that we practice daily, essentially using your mind as a directive force in the body. So again, it's like physical exercise. You don't do just one workout and all of a sudden you're stronger, but it's a daily routine that gets you stronger over time. And I'm going to help you now break down this and devise a daily routine. So goals are always good for getting started. Having an identified goal of what you intend to achieve will allow you to be more determined and disciplined. And so it can just be simple, just to be a better thinker, more positive, sharper mind, clearer, just emotionally more resilient. Define a list of personal qualities, traits, feelings that you just want to experience more. So, just as simple as more joy, peace, courage, confidence, resilience, whatever you want. So, quick pause. I am definitely not saying that you can't thrive mentally and emotionally if you're not physiologically, if your physiological health isn't great. Okay, we know that Physical health certainly is not the only path to happiness and feelings of great personal fulfillment, thankfully. We know that our mental and emotional health comes from just living a life with a sense of purpose and having positive relationships, of course, and ethical values. So, but now we can see how this topic we're covering today is powerfully interconnected. So, just the fact that your growth mentally and emotionally can be much faster and the retention of the growth much stronger with this healthy lifestyle. So, um, with not such great health, blood flow isn't where it could be, and production of new brain cells aren't. It's not exactly thriving to where it makes the brain a little more like hard Play-Doh. It's just less moldable, shapeable, and it's you just can't work with it as effectively. So let's just look at as this is a mental, physical, emotional synergy that's happening right now, just behind our eyes. That we've identified how to optimize and just the how-tos that will work for anybody to be fitter, stronger, with a more enduring brain and mind. So I've had plenty of people tell me with this topic that, "Oh, Billy, I feel like I missed the boat. Look at me, I'm not so healthy." But hang on, okay? The universe sends more boats. The good news is that when it comes to neurological health, it can improve rapidly. Like I mentioned, just what you eat or don't eat today has a huge impact just even tomorrow. So we don't want to think that we have to achieve superior physiological health before we get started. Definitely not. Today is definitely the day to get this show on the road. So, as for that, goals. So, like I mentioned, living with defined written goals does bring about more motivation and discipline since and writing them down, especially since we are visual learners. So and it is very helpful to put time on it, like 2021, the year 2021, or the next 30 days. So, and like I mentioned, we are visual learners, okay, and we're also auditory. So, what I mean by that is we want to write our goals, and then it's hugely effective daily to read them out loud. This is a 10-minute practice that is first thing in the morning, and it's part of my daily routine. I do it every day, and in the morning, just the brain is more suggestible, and also right before you go to bed. And so, for that reason, the last thing you'd ever want is to go to bed in a bad mood or start your day feeling sour. That if you've had a long day, it's a tough day. It's essential for your strengthening mentally and emotionally to take a few minutes to reflect on something positive. So during this routine, again, I do it every day. It's good to sit up tall, be conscientious of the look you have on your face, not a dirty look, ideally a smile. Take some deep breaths. And what's happening, the simple law of nature is you're engaging your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's a very attentive, direct way to just feel better. So um, we also, it's always helpful just to simply just take a moment to reflect that you being here on Earth is a mind-blowing phenomenon to begin with, and just there's much more in your life going well than not since you're here. So even though it may not always feel that way. So positive affirmations are powerful because of neural plasticity. It's which is largely correlated with the subconscious. This is a matter of training your subconscious mind how you want to routinely think of yourself. Here's what's important to think about, that this is not affirming that this is what I want to become. It's streaming in your thought that this is who I am already. You're identifying with who you want to be, that you're that person now. And so when you're deliberately telling yourself, when you're telling your subconscious something like this, your subconscious is like, huh, okay. And so I'm talking just simple affirmations like I'm well able, I'm talented, I'm healthy, I'm smart. Does this make sense? I'm motivated, skillful, anything you want. I'm achieving, humorous, genuine, confident, good natured, insightful. Okay, so boom, every time you say these comments out loud, your brain is working. And that you can think these things and you can write them down, which is helpful. But again, when you speak it, being auditory learners, it makes it much stronger. So I can understand that it feels a little goofy if you're new to this, and just do it in private. Now you know I do. Nobody knows that I do this except for you guys, so don't tell anybody. Just kidding. Actually, the idea is to tell everybody to spread the word how amazing this can be, but people don't do it because of that factor. So, but the bottom line is it works. So, so goofy, embarrassing or not, I'm going to do it. And also, what happens is naturally over time, you become more attentive to just your everyday thoughts as they're coming and going. That you got to catch the negative ones and then replace them with positive. It's something that you get better at. And, don't you dare affirm that again and again that I just don't have what it takes. I'm just not that great. My memory isn't that good. I have a tough time with this sort of thing. I always get these things wrong. I always have, tough breaks in life. These are the old neural pathways that we want to deactivate, the ruts that we want to fill in. So this is incredibly useful for a whole host of reasons, which I can mention. Just the potential for breaking addiction here is big, or just our attachment to things in general that aren't in our best interest. Just affirming, I am free of addiction. I am disciplined to take the path in life which I can thrive. So I want to loop in one thing. Take a breath. I want to talk about the benefit of gratitude with neuroplasticity and affirmation. That it's really effective and it's hard to beat. And this is why. You're exercising your thought, your affirmative thought, and then adding some feeling behind it. And do we always have things that we can right away feel grateful for? Am I always feeling grateful? Ha! No, I wish, but it's something that I've come to look at as a practice, a discipline. And so I will just count the things that I have that I can be grateful for, even though I don't necessarily feel it at the moment. So just things that I was grateful for yesterday or the day before that or the day before that. And then this way, you're actually exercising that memory center. You're sending that superior blood flow from your superior diet to create the new neural networks between your memory center, prefrontal cortex, that over time just become dominant and very active neural pathways for your thought. So, this activity of gratitude just does over time just come to life and have a little more feeling just by nature. So, adding that word grateful to your affirmation can make it far more powerful due to that feeling. So, for example, I'm just grateful to be, and then whatever you want. So, it definitely makes your affirmations much stronger, though. I'm grateful to be an achiever, grateful to be brave. I'm grateful for my health that's getting better every day. And so, or I'm grateful that I have the most amazing dog and friends and family in my life. And I want to emphasize that we're not just skimming down a punch list, on a sheet of paper. Da 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 da. I got to head out the door. It's something that we got to really just give a moment, say it out loud. I want you to try it. Okay. I really encourage you to do this first thing when we get off, or tonight before you go to bed, or tomorrow morning. Another powerful word is, or words, are I declare. I declare my excellence. I declare my self-confidence. I declare I'm a great speaker. So that declare is a powerful word. It definitely just adds some extra backbone to your affirmation for sure. So a tried and true word. And this may sound goofy, but um, I want you to know that there are actually neurons in the heart, like there are neurons in the brain. And so there's actually neural activity that goes between the two. And the neural activity in the heart, actually, there's more neural activity that goes from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart. And so um, the neurons, the way you make the neurons active in your heart, they are active with feeling. So just an example is like when you feel really grateful for somebody, you instinctively are like, I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. That was so endearing. And so, just by nature, where you put your attention, your energy goes. It just becomes more active. And so, if you want to power up that sense of gratitude, truthfully, I do this. I've never shared it in front of anybody, but I'll even look in front of the mirror at myself smiling and just saying, I am so thankful to be so blessed. I'm so grateful to be so healthy. And I mean, I'll tell you that you do that for a minute and you're just absolutely changing yourself. It's just a simple rule of human biology and neurology. So I verbalize this out loud and I want to emphasize that this is not in an arrogant way. It's more of just a silent confidence when you then walk out of your bedroom or from wherever you were outside doing this practice. It's if anything, it makes you more humble, since arrogance is kind of the opposite of arrogance. Is not something that makes you happy. It's an insecurity, and so I can give you more examples, but I really verbalize some things, and it's something that you don't necessarily have to write down. That this will just become something that you can just do on a more natural basis. Like I can say out loud, and I say something different every day. I'm grateful to see myself well on my way to becoming the person that I aspire to be and more. Um, Today, I'm celebrating my completeness. So just a couple more examples. Just the goal being to think in these terms on more of a routine basis, which we can do. So, and again, I mentioned it's okay if you actually don't feel it at that time, but you're not fooling yourself. It's the training yourself with the thought that you wish to become second nature. So it's just basically a practice committed to raising your standards, the quality of your self image, life perspective, and then outward expression. So, but you have just another adage is that actions do speak louder than words. And yes, of course, it's the outward expression that really just reflects a lot on just who we are, our identity. But what I want to emphasize is we're actually using the action of words to shift the action of your thought. Using the action of words to shift the action of your thought, which then reflects in the action, the daily activity of your life. So I also just want to say this is not breaking news, that we are still just at the very tip of the iceberg. But it is helpful just to know just how all of this stuff works. And so I really encourage you to do this every day for the next 30 days. If you skip a day, it's not going to mess it up. So 10 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before you go to bed. I'm confident you will be surprised. If you have not tried this before, you will be surprised. And I am going to say that there is no silver bullet that I'm aware of that will give you relentless peace and joy. That's going to happen overnight. I just don't know. But this is a powerful and important part of getting there. I mean, it's like vitamin C. It's not the only ticket to your immune health, but it offers incomparable support. So if you're not doing the affirmations at night, I do recommend reading something positive before you go to bed, because still you're running positive material through your mind routinely before you go to sleep. When again, remember that that high performance supercomputer, your brain, is sorting files coupled with, remember that optimized growth hormone from the exercise you did earlier to grow those new neural pathways. And so when you're sleeping, we know that actually the brain is actively working on integration of all this material that you've been diligently focusing on. So if you want some suggestions, I'll share with you one of my favorites, actually. The author, and he does audiobooks, is Joel Osteen. And while he doesn't talk about the science of neural-plasticity, it's just putting it to use. The way he talks, it's putting it to use perfectly. And it is Christian material, but actually anybody would appreciate it, just because, regardless of your religion, just because it is just about improving life perspective. So by using this technique. And that's the cool thing, actually, is that this topic is slightly bridging the world of science with spirit, that normally looked at as two very different worlds, but putting this science to work absolutely can strengthen faith if that's something you want, or really support any spiritual path. Of course, if there is a God, he did equip us with this ability. So perhaps, and maybe even likely, for this purpose. So I love how Michael Beckwith says it. So he's talking about taking the qualities that we've been talking about, that we're aspiring to express. He's talking about taking it from just a state of mind to a trait of your consciousness, from again just a temporary state of mind to a more permanent trait of your identity. So very much just day to day, all of this becoming stronger, just more part of you, just getting out of bed with more excitement for the day, a better attitude, starting with your powerful morning practice that more and more you're just going to look forward to, and creating more and more inspirational material of your own to read and rehearse. You just get better at it. Now, it's a lifelong journey with no end. It's always a work in progress. And I do want to say that, problems don't necessarily go away, but they do become smaller as we become mentally and emotionally stronger. So basically enabling us to enjoy life more, even with the challenges we may be forever dealing with, whether it's a health issue or a relationship issue or things not working out so well. We basically are just more prepared. It's here's an example, actually, that we're just never going to get away from. All of us are sort of handcuffed to ever. Not necessarily in a bad way. That's not the right term. I'll explain. That the topic that I covered in my last newsletter are the winter blues, and that's an example because, well, and then the extreme version being seasonal affective disorder, getting depressed in the winter. So, which I know a lot about just from personal experience. Now, it's basically just because you're getting less sunlight, which equals less serotonin production. It is an important mood regulator, and yes, it is important to get more unadulterated sunshine during the winter. But thankfully, now we know, with everything we've got covered today, that sunshine certainly isn't something that has to make or break our joy. That there are just these very accessible programs in the brain that we can put to use that absolutely fill in during these winter months to keep ourselves more just mentally and emotionally elevated, making us less vulnerable to the winter blues, as a natural of a phenomenon as it may be. So rather than the winter blues being a push, it's a motivating factor to get this show on the road. Again, I'll share it. It's been a big one for me, and just the sunshine or lack of can be something I'm sensitive to. So all the above has been huge for me and a game changer. It's a real motivator. So certainly, just over time, these everyday stressors in life and life circumstances that we may be dealing with of all kinds become less of a determining factor for our overall peace and joy, since just by nature we become more resilient. So um, we are building, just like I said, an emotional resilience, just not being as easily just tossed around, with those feelings such as being angry, depressed, or fearful when things aren't going the way we'd like. We're just quicker to bounce back. And another benefit is, like I said, well, you just become quicker to identify them and dominate those negative thoughts that do just constantly sneak in, just that bring with them just the feelings of self pity or sadness, anger, fear. Um, so I'll share with you actually that, ironically, the timing of this class, I have been really tested the past few days of feeling upset and angry over something that feels really unfair. It's easy just to let your imagination, when you're feeling this way, um, it can fill with these negative conversations of how you're going to have to set these guys straight who did you wrong. So I find it, always have, really hard to just stop those thoughts. That this is rather a perfect opportunity to put all of this to practice, deliberately focusing on the good thoughts, things I have to be grateful for, people, places, experiences, to reflect on, and then affirm the qualities that I am intentionally associating with my identity, the person I aspire to be. And practicing, what you're doing is practicing with this, you're taking your focus away from what's bringing you down, focusing on the good. And so you're just filling your thought, making less room for the negative. And yes, you have to then deal with the situation. I have to deal with this situation, but rehearsing it in my head with negative emotion in the meantime is doing me no favors. And when my whole goal is to live a healthy, happy life. So and it's making me more better equipped to then later handle this situation with a little more poise and power. So again, this is not to say you're not going to have a bad hair day or be mad at somebody, but you're going to bounce back quicker, and you're just naturally going to have an improved view of the outside world, naturally, that just comes with becoming a better thinker via this training. So um, I'd like to comment here that all of this we've covered today is going to positively affect relationships. Positive relationships, the ones that have positive relationships, and the ones that have been potentially negative. That friendships can become stronger, and you're also going to be stronger to better able deal with the people who you've had a tough time with. It's absolutely easier to have adopt a forgiving attitude that toward the people that aren't necessarily your friends. So more good news is you're going to just be a greater influence to your near friends and family members by putting this to use. You're just being an example, humbly, of course, definitely the opposite of arrogance. So just by nature, it makes you kinder. It's an inevitable law of human, psychology. So in every way possible, there is just always going to be more opportunity to grow, and just to cut back on the things in life that don't offer us improvement, whether it's unhealthy food, stressors, things that interfere with us, with becoming our strongest and happiest, to then be replaced with the right foods, the right lifestyle, the life enriching things we can do, and that solid practice of deliberate self improvement, with the concept of affirmation, self talk, neuroplasticity, that will just over time absolutely bring us a greater sense of joy and well being. So, this is it, really. Actually, let's see. I see a sprinkling of questions that have come in, and I do want to talk about those. But I'm feeling super motivated. I hope you are too. That just for the sake of living our lives to the full potential, to express our greatest, and to do it for ourselves, but also just for everyone else too, and generations to come. So it's quite natural. You're going to be a positive influence to, a world that needs it. So more than ever, the human spirit needs a boost, and so thankfully we're in on that together. So we've been going for 55 minutes now. So um, I want to check your questions, and I have a couple other announcements. And do do do. Okay, so I actually see that some of you all may have to go. What I do want to share is a gift that I have for you. So let's see, how do I post this? You know what I'm going to have to do? I think I'm going to have to email it to you. I don't see anywhere I can post this link. Actually, I'll just tell you where it is. It's hiding on my website. I want to give you a free bottle of of a trial size of infinity memory. That the infinity memory is actually intended to be a support for all of this. That infinity memory is just these different plant foods, herbs that are called adaptogens. They're just giving your brain like constant support, constant micro adjustment, like going to a chiropractor, and where you'll find it. And it's just this has just been done for the next couple days, and you'll see it if you go to the homepage and then scroll all the way down. You'll see trial sizes, and if you click on infinity memory, you'll see you can get your bottle there for free. I want you to try it, and you can give me your feedback. So that's it. This has been a whole heck of a lot of fun, and let me just check my notes here, make sure I covered everything. um, oh, and by the way, I am going to send you this recorded class to your email. So I have the class recorded. I know we've covered a fair bit of information, and yeah, and also I will send you the links to the previous 4 classes, the one about diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep. They're going to give you the important how-tos. So, and send me an email. I'd love your feedback. My goal is definitely to do more of these classes. So more fun than newsletters, in my opinion, and I can just share more. So that's it. Oh, okay. Actually, got some more questions. Okay. Hang on. Hi, Ryan. Nice to hear from you. Does this superior diet have to be expensive? Thankfully not. Really, it's just simple foods. I mean, I'll be honest that my routine diet, I mean, if you look at the foods on the health enhancing food list at the end of my book, again, you have the link for the free download in the email you got. You're going to see that, okay, these are foods that you can get in any bulk quantity for very inexpensive. Okay, these are not packaged foods. So I wish I could just give you the quick punch list now. But I mean, really, like my morning is just smoothie, just simple fruit. I consider superfoods to be very inexpensive, truthfully, relative to what you get out of it. And then I eat oatmeal every day. That's pennies. My dinner is just rice and salmon. So how expensive can that be? So, really that's what the diet I encourage is all about, to be efficient for sure. So, um, okay. Hey, Bob, let's see. Can we add to our affirmation list? Would you recommend that we add until can we add new ones in? Absolutely. Great question. So you can always change your affirmations. Mine are always new. I have the same routine ones that I do every day, but then I always elaborate. And so maybe I'll share more someday. But you guys are the first people who know about this whole routine that I do. Nobody knows. So um, yeah, and then let's see. Um, any suggestions for headache relief? Definitely, that's a tough one. I mean, I had when I was dealing with my brain condition, I had like the 6 month headache. I was on the Tylenol diet actually. And the good news for you, so really, in most cases, just headache is inflammation in the brain, which there are so many different triggers. Of course, stress being a big one. Remember how I mentioned that stress stimulates the production of cortisol, which is it's oxidative. It creates inflammation. So the idea is to do the opposite, to absolutely just have the anti-inflammatory diet. I mean, I'll just tell you the number one food far and above for headaches. The natural remedy is actually turmeric combined with pepper. It's been used for millennia in Ayurveda. Those two foods together, turmeric and pepper, and actually just that's what the Infinity turmeric formula is. It's a turmeric extract and pepper extract. But you can also just cook with it. I'm not going to say that my product's the silver bullet, helpful as it may be. There's again just cooking with simple turmeric and use pepper. So, but that's a big one. Headaches are something I know a lot about. I mean, maybe actually I should do a newsletter on that. But it's something I could actually talk about all day. So, um, yeah, okay. Well, that's it. This has been a joy, you guys. We've been going for our full hour, and we will do this again and again. Keep an eye out in your email. I am going to send this recorded class to you, and then share it with your friend, somebody you care about, if you feel called. All right. I wish you all a wonderful day, and thank you again for being here. Bye now.